Do you know what made me fall in love with self improvement and leveling up my life? It's because anyone can do it at any level, at any stage, and actually starting it at the lowest level possible, at the lowest point in your life, is the best thing that you can do, because then you see exponential growth over time. What for me, I've always felt that I'm naturally not the most intelligent or even the hardest working person in the room. And this might be contrary to what a lot of people tell you online of what to say and how they portray themselves. But I believe it's true. And if you were honest with yourself, you would probably agree with this about yourself too. But one thing that I found unmatched over the last few years is my consistency. I'm yet to meet anyone who is as consistent as me when it comes to getting by with the most important things in our life, whether it comes to fitness, whether it comes to being consistent with YouTube, whether it comes to being relations, just showing up in life. I've never met anyone with that level of consistency, and I'm not making this video to say, look at me, you can't match me or anything like this. It's more as inspiration to you, is that consistency and resilience with iteration over time is pretty much a recipe to success for whatever that is that you define as success in your life. And it really is that simple. And I think that is the thing that most people are missing, is that consistency, and just keep going through those times that feel mundane, that feel very difficult for you to kind of overcome. That's what I've been able to do for years, and I've kind of built that within myself, that I know I've got it when times do get tough. You have to have that grit about yourself to keep going through those days. Like earlier today, I was like, you know what, I don't feel motivated. I don't really know what to do with my day. I kind of hit a bit of a lull, and I'm like, okay, I could just not try. But I was just like, just keep going. Remember this, you've been through far worse times, and you've been in situations like this before, and the only option is to keep going or giving up. That's always going to be the reality of our life in every area of it. You have to keep pushing forward, and then eventually things start clicking. The day starts to get better when you start making those little kind of bits of progress. You just get on with it, like I've said before, and things do start to get easier throughout the day, and you'll see this throughout the week, you'll see this throughout a year, and just your life in a lot of different areas. When you keep plugging away and doing the things that you know you need to do, things will start showing up in your life, and you know this is true. We all see it in our lives all the time. And I know I started my journey around, I was basically 20 years old. It was just around the COVID lockdown. I felt that I needed to change my life. I was not happy with where it was going. I was very much in a relationship that I didn't want to be in whatsoever. I wasn't really happy with myself. I thought I was very lazy, lethargic. I didn't like who I was, just inside and out. And this started for me with fitness, and I'm not going to go deep into kind of my journey. That's for another video to look back on one day. But, you know, I started this journey quite early, relatively early compared to most people. And the thing, like I say, it's that consistency that I've been able to compound. That now I'm 24 years old, I've made a lot more progress in my life. I know who I am, I know what I want in my life, I know my values and my vision. And these are things that, you know, they're invaluable to everyone, because most people are 40, 50 years old and they don't know who they are. They don't know what they want in their life. And then they get to this stage in their life and they're like, shit, I know what I want now. I've wasted so much time doing stuff that other people told me to do that didn't bring me happiness, that didn't bring me fulfillment in my life. But now it's very, very difficult for me to make this drastic change in my life. You see this because they have baggage, so to speak, and it's not a very nice term to look at it when you look at, you know, someone's got a mortgage wrapped around their head, they've got kids to look after, they've got married, they've got a wife, they've got cars, they've got outgoings that are quite high. It's very difficult to kind of de-root this. If you're kind of digging up a massive oak tree that was 40, 50 years old, how difficult would that be? You basically need to look at that in someone who is 40, 50 years old and realize it's pretty much the same, to kind of dig that up and start again, and to kind of rewire who they are, because they've kind of formed that identity, and it takes a very special and unique person to do that at this age. And I've seen this with a lot of people that I know personally. It's very difficult for them to kind of get out of the ways that they've been set in. They're very much set, and they feel, you know, I'm so and so 40, 50 years old, which I very much think is still very young, especially in the world we live in now, and with technology and medical advancement. I think, you know, a lot of people could go on to live to 100 years old. You know, we never know what's around the corner. I've seen that in my life with loved ones in my life. But I very much believe if you keep yourself fit and healthy, there's a strong possibility you could live to around 100 years old. And to be like 40, 50, you know, I'm throwing the towel in, is not acceptable in any way whatsoever. And like I say, I did start this journey earlier, but I think at 30, 40, if you still you get to this stage, you can't just give up. You have to keep going. And like I say, you can still make exponential progress in this time by just being like consistent in the areas that you need to level up. And whether that be your gym, whether that be making a certain amount of money, starting a business, improving your relationships with your intimate partner, your family, your friends, all of these stuff. If you start in changing your habits over time, you will see the progress that a lot of people won't make, because they kind of have this fixed mindset that for whatever reason it's easier to make up that excuse to say, you know, I'm too old, I don't have time for this. And this is where a lot of people, you know, go wrong. And like I say, I think they discover it. A lot of people are very, very aware of this, because I've spoken to people who are twice my age, and they're like, you know what, you've got a different mindset to what I had at 20. You know, I went out and drank a lot, and, you know, did things that I thought was pretty pointless even at the time. Like, they think it wasn't the right thing to do, but they kind of got swept along, and that's very easily done. Like, you know, you shouldn't feel that if you did this that it was completely the wrong thing to do, because it's very much easier said than done to kind of stand up against other people and go against the grain. But that is what you need to do, especially when you're younger, and truly figure out and spend some time alone, as I've mentioned heavily, on what you really value in your life and where it is that you want to go in your life. And for me, I think if we look at life, I made a little whiteboard with kind of a simple kind of diagram here. And as you can see, I believe that most people, 95% of people's life goes like this. From around 16 to 25, their life is pretty good. Life is fairly easy, and you don't have to try too much. And your life pretty much will peak around 25 years old for 95% of people. And then it pretty much slowly starts to decline. It won't decline massively until maybe 35 years old, I tend to see. But then after that, it really starts to just kind of flatten. And it's pretty much, especially for a lot of guys, they become very much castrated in their life, I see it as. And people will look at this now, and I'm pretty much at that age, that 25 years old, where a lot of people, we're pretty much level in life, you know. For people that have made a decent amount of progress and they've started kind of with the 5%, they started lower down for whatever reason. They found it difficult when younger. They've kind of, you know, made a lot of mistakes and had to learn the harder way. We're all around the same sort of level now, between, you know, 22 and 25, I feel. And people like myself who feel like I've probably started lower down than a lot of people that I knew, I've seen myself catch up with them and definitely overtake a lot of people over the last couple of years. And I believe this is very exponential growth over the next kind of from 30 to 50. This here is where you really see the growth, where everyone gets set apart, really. That 5% compared to the 95% is completely different in our life. And this is something that you need to bear in mind, because like I say, when you look outwardly, you look at kind of people, they probably look similar to you, but their habits right now are extremely different to you. For me, myself, I don't really drink, only on a special occasion. I'm abroad, or, you know, it's a reason for it, and if I do, it's not a lot. I don't do drugs, you know, I have very good habits in general, whereas a lot of people, you know, from the outside, they probably look like they're doing pretty well. They probably look, you know, relatively healthy, and a lot of the things we go off are very much looks orientated. And their lifestyle is extremely different. They probably drink a lot. They probably don't work out anywhere near as much as I do. They probably don't have very good mental health. They probably don't have very much clarity on their life. You know, they're probably in a relationship that they don't really want to be in. They don't have great friends. They don't have good surroundings. They don't really have any clue. They're kind of letting life just, like 95% of people, throw them around, and wherever they end up, and they kind of accept that that's life. And like I say, you will see this for those 5%, and hopefully that's you watching this video, that you can achieve something extremely different. And like I say, those 30 to 50 is going to be your golden years, because that is, you've put basically a decade of self-improvement work into your life, and you are a completely different person to when you start this journey at 16, 18, 20, 21, whatever it may be. Or even if you start a bit later, you can look at this on a different scale. Over a decade, you are a completely different person to when you started it in every single area of your life. And like I said, this is what made me fall in love with it, falling in love with kind of self-improvement, self-help, because it was hard, very fucking hard in the early days. When you not see a lot of progress, your life doesn't really change too much in the first couple of years. But start 3-4 years, and I know with the years to come, it's going to change exponentially. And I'm extremely confident I know it will, because I put that groundwork in, and all I have to do is kind of maintain it. And of course, yes, do I want to push on for more? Absolutely. I guarantee you I will push on for more. That is the only way that I believe is acceptable to live our life, is to push our potential and see where we end up, see how far we can push it in all areas. And yeah, fulfill that, become the best version of ourselves. That's all the best thing we can do with our life. And I want you to be very cautious and take consistency. That's what I want you to take from this video. Consistency, have some resilience, and iterate when you need to. Don't make the same mistakes over and over again, because that's something there where a lot of people go wrong. That's where I went wrong a lot, especially in my early days, is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. As Einstein would say, this is delusional, and it is pretty much delusional to think you're going to get different results from doing the same thing. But that's how a lot of people live their life constantly, and it's not going to change. You have to remember that. And you can look back in this video in 5 years' time, and we'll see. 5 years is going to go by anyway, so we'll see where we all are. But I hope you've taken something from this video, and you can, reach that life, that whatever it is for you, whatever you define as success, that is your formula to success, is consistency with resilience. Compounded over time with iteration, you will achieve whatever you want. So I really hope this has helped you. I really hope I've got a message across, because that's what I want to do with every video I put out there. If you need any more guidance on how you can put this into your life, how you can transform your life, it's all in your head, and I believe I'm the right person to help you. So my one-to-one personal coaching link will be in the description below, so tap that if you need any more guidance. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video now. Take care of yourself.